Today is Friday, and it's the last story that we're going to read this week. And our character, if you remember this week, our character is Franklin. A character is the person or animal that is in our story. So when you're listening, we're going to listen to what characters are in our story, who they are, and what they do. Our story today is called Franklin's New Friend. Who do you think Franklin's new friend might be by looking at the cover? Yes, I think it might be Moose. Was Moose a character in one of our other stories? Yes, I think he was. Have you remembered when you came to school at the beginning of the year and you needed to meet new friends and how that made you feel? So let's see what happens in our story. Franklin's New Friend. That's our title, and it's by Paulette Bourgeois and Brenda Clark. Franklin had always lived in the same house in the same town, and each one of his friends were special in Franklin's life. When Franklin wanted to play hide and seek, he called for Fox. If Franklin needed a best friend, he called for Bear. Franklin never thought about making new friends until a new family moved down the lane. Franklin was curious about the newcomers. He rubbed his eyes and the movers unloaded the furniture. The beds were made for giants and the lamps were as tall as trees. Franklin finally saw the family and he was speechless. Franklin had never met a moose before. He had heard about moose. He had seen pictures of moose, but he had never actually known one. They were huge. Even the smallest moose was big. Franklin was so scared he raced home. A moose family moved in. That's nice, said Franklin's mother. Maybe you'll make a new friend. Franklin shook his head. I don't think so. I expect you to be nice when you meet someone new, warned his mother. Franklin scowled. He might be a little scared, but if you're scared, you shouldn't not be nice to somebody else. The next morning, there was a moose in Franklin's classroom. Please give a warm welcome to your new classmate, said Mr. Owl. Hello, Moose, said the class in unison. Moose mumbled hello and looked at his feet. He doesn't look very friendly, whispered Beaver. Do you think he's not being friendly? Or do you think he could be a little scared or nervous to be the new one in school who doesn't have any friends yet? Mr. Owl told the class that Moose had come from a different place far away. Franklin, said Mr. Owl, I'd like you to be a buddy for Moose. Franklin tried to smile, but he was scared. Moose was so big. Moose didn't say a word all morning. At recess, Franklin ran outside with his friends, leaving Moose behind. But Mr. Owl reminded him that he was Moose's buddy. Do you want to play? Asked Franklin. Moose shook his head back and forth. Franklin was relieved. Aw, what's wrong with Moose? During recess, Moose stood alone as Franklin and his friends played soccer. Fox kicked the ball too hard and it flew into a tree. Now we'll have to get Mr. Owl, groaned Bear. I've got it, cried Moose. He knocked the ball out of the tree and sent it flying into Franklin. That was good, said Fox. I guess, shrugged Franklin. Back in the classroom, Mr. Owl and Franklin and Moose were going to make a poster for the bake sale. I don't need any help, said Franklin. Mr. Owl talked to Franklin alone. Try to imagine how Moose feels. He's new and he has no friends here. He's probably scared. Moose can't be scared, said Franklin. He's so big. Mr. Owl looked at Franklin. Big or little, we all get scared. Franklin thought about that. Franklin got the paints and the paper. Do you want to help me, Moose? Oh, yes, said Moose. I love to draw. They sat side by side and planned the poster together. Franklin realized Moose didn't seem as big when he was sitting. After much work, the poster was perfect. They both thought so. At library time, Franklin taught Moose how to borrow books. Moose showed Franklin how to cut a perfect circle. They both liked to build structures. Franklin and Moose had a lot in common. So even though they're different animals, they still like a lot of the same things. At lunch, Franklin made sure that Bear and his other friends got to know his new buddy. They liked Moose. Besides, he was a very good soccer player. When Franklin got home from school, he was happy. Guess what? He told his mother. I have a new friend. So you met Moose? Asked his mother. What's he like? Moose is big, said Franklin, but he's not mean or scary. Good, said his mother. Would you like to take him some of these cookies? Franklin went to Moose's house. They ate all the cookies together. I'm glad you are my buddy, said Moose. I was worried that nobody would play with me. Really? Said Franklin. He could barely remember being afraid of Moose. From then on, Franklin and Moose played together all the time. Now Franklin's new friend was a special friend. I want you to think about a friend that you met in preschool who's one of your best friends now. I'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye.